Hi, and welcome along to DR Sports. Breaking news, big news. Erling Haaland is set to miss the rest of the Premier League season. Big blow to Manchester City. The news broken today. Erling Haaland, of course, he picked up an injury in that FA Cup game against Bournemouth. Remember, he went down and he was writhing in pain. He actually got up and tried to continue, but then quickly after that realized that he couldn't. The player went down on his ankle. It didn't look good. He left the game wearing a big boot and on crutches. And the news being confirmed today by Pep Guardiola that Erling Haaland is going to miss about 7 weeks, which will take him to the end of the season. Just looking at some of those quotes that came in from Pep Guardiola, who was giving a press conference ahead of their game against Leicester City tomorrow. He said, sometimes there's years that these things happen. It's happened all season. It could have been different if it was at the end of the season before the Club World Cup with all the injuries we've had this season. I'm sorry for them and for Erling as well. Hopefully the recovery is speedy as possible and he can come back. He also went on to say that the doctors have told me between 5 and 7 weeks. So hopefully the end of the season and the Club World Cup, he'll be ready. We'll find a solution for the players that we have with different skills and qualities. But bad news for Manchester City. Erling Haaland set to be out for the whole of this season. I mean, the 7 weeks, when you look at it, takes right to the end of the season, but then you've got the recovery coming back. And would you want to rush Erling Haaland back, because there are important games in that Club World Cup? And remember, if you win that Club World Cup, which is going to be taking place over in the States, the inaugural Club World Cup, you can win £97 million. So they're not going to want to rush him back. I think we could have seen Erling Haaland play his last game, and he looks like he's going to miss the Premier League season. But let's look at some of the key games he can or he will miss. Definitely going to be out of the Manchester derby this week. Of course, Manchester City set to play Manchester United on Sunday. He's definitely going to miss that. Some of the other key games he's going to miss: the FA Cup semi-final, which takes place on April the 26th against Nottingham Forest. Huge blow there. He's going to be out for that. Could potentially miss the FA Cup final, which is on May the 17th. Going to be very doubtful that he gets back in time for that. Of course, the final Premier League game is on May the 25th. And that Club World Cup starts on June the 18th. Should be fine for that. Should have recovered by then. And that really, is going to be the big one. That's going to be the big one that they're going to want him back for, because, as I said, the inaugural hosting of this tournament and the prize money for winning that is absolutely huge. So they'll want to get him back in shape for that. But he's going to be out of some of those massive games starting this week with the Manchester derby. And make no mistake, Erling Haaland, a lot of people look at it and say he's not been at his vintage best this season. Still got 30 goals in all competitions. Absolutely insane. And that's so far. The season hasn't even finished yet. 30 goals in all competitions. He is an absolute machine. I think he's the first player to have done that, 30 goals consecutively as well since he's come to the Premier League. Insane at scoring goals. And any team in world football will miss a player of that caliber. Of course, Pep Guardiola spoke there about solutions, and they brought in a very good solution in bringing in Omar Mamouche, who's really hit the ground running. I think he's done really, really well since he come in from Eintracht Frankfurt in January, has scored some important goals for Manchester City. And of course, he scored the all-important goal in the FA Cup on Sunday, which took them through against Bournemouth after coming off the bench. But look for Omar Mamouche now playing a very important part from now till the end of the season for Manchester City. And let's not forget, even though it's not your normal Manchester City season where they'd be challenging on all fronts, they'd be challenging in the Premier League, they'd be challenging in the Champions League, They don't have those things to challenge for, but they do still have a lot to play for between now and the end of the season. Priorities number one, the FA Cup. They're through to the semi-finals where they're going to be taking on Nottingham Forest, and they're going to want to progress to the final. Their only chance of winning silverware this season, they're going to want to do that against, if they can get through against Nottingham Forest, they're into yet another final. And Haaland could possibly sneak back for that. So very, very important, the FA Cup. Then, of course, the Premier League. Can't win it, but they got to try and get into that top 5, right? And whilst they're holding those positions at the moment, it's not a given. They've got Newcastle breathing down their neck. There's Chelsea going for those places. You know what I mean? You've got other teams, Brighton, that are looking good and could mount a challenge. Aston Villa, Bournemouth. City really can't afford to drop many more points if they are to get into those top 4-5 places this season. And without Erling Haaland's goals, somebody is going to have to step up and score those goals. So Omar Mamouche, very good January signing. Now, all of a sudden, that becomes a very, very wise decision to bring him in because without Haaland's goals, maybe he could be the guy to score them. He was banging them in the Bundesliga. So I think it's very good that they brought him in because he offers a solution to those missed goals from Erling Haaland, although nobody can replace the amount of goals that Haaland scores. So look to see Omar Mamouche play a really big part. Then there's going to be a big reliance on some of those wide players. You know, they're really going to have to step up. Doku's going to have to chip in with some more goals. Savinho. I mean, these guys are going to have to really step up in the absence of Erling Haaland. So make no mistake of it, it's going to be a big miss. And it's a big blow to Manchester City. And other players are going to have to step up if they're going to get into those places. But once again, the big breaking news today is Erling Haaland out for at least 7 weeks, which looks like that could take him out for the rest of this season. And he's going to miss some big, big games. Once again, definitely out of the Manchester derby this week. Definitely out of the semi-final against Nottingham Forest, which takes place on April 26th. Could potentially miss the FA Cup final on May the 17th. Also, could be out of the final Premier League fixture of the season against Fulham. How significant could that be? Fulham, another team that are fighting for positions. How significant could that be that he misses that game? But should be back for the World Club Cup in Philadelphia, the first game where they'll be playing against Wydad Casablanca. Big tournament, this one. Brand new tournament, but a chance for them to win £97 million if they were to win it. And to win that, Haaland is absolutely essential. Thanks for watching DR Sports. Don't forget to subscribe to us right now and check us out for all breaking news right here.